list deck. He's like, this is exactly the type of deck I want to be playing. I love putting my opponent to the test after sideboarding. And that's where we're going to be here because he's up against Black-Red aggro. It's game 2. Seth's up a game. And you said after sideboarding, this becomes a Black-Red mid-range mirror, really, because that's how people go after sideboarding.
Right. The key difference usually between these mid-range and aggro decks is the aggro deck runs Bomat Courier and the mid-range deck runs Cinder Barons. So, but post-board, Bomat Courier not the card you want, so you start taking those out and going for a more mid-range plan. Chandra's Defeat is a tempo card, but you're looking for that Glory Bringer, that Karn that are coming in, that Doomfall to deal with Rekindling Phoenix. While Seth has more Planeswalker action, though. There are 3 Karn Sign of Urzas. And those are actually pretty good in these mirrors because Karn is just really hard to deal with. It's, what do you attack? Do you attack Karn or do you attack Seth? And you have to choose correctly from the start.
Right. Here's Pia Nalar from Seth. It gets taken down with a Magma Spray, and the Scrap Heap Scrounger from Yidong Wang keeps attacking in. Seth gets to crack back this turn with the Thopter. And what is he going to do on his turn 4 to follow it up in his second main phase?
Magma Spray is kind of an awkward card in a matchup like this. You know that both players are kind of going up. So Magma Spray, not necessarily an ideal card when your opponent's trying to slam down a 4-drop.
How about a Rekindling Phoenix from Seth Manfield?
It'd be good against that if you and that's why you would want Magma Spray. It's not really for Scrappy Chandra, it's for Rekindling Phoenix. You need answers to it. But when you have access to free in the sideboard, when you're on the play, it's better to not bring all free, just maybe 1 or 2 as a hedge case. But remember, you can't have too many conditional cards when you're the one dictating the tempo of the game on the play.
Now, is Wang able to play cards like Vraska's Contempt or the back half of Cut to Ribbons out of this deck?
Right. So Vraska's Contempt is not actually in Yidong's deck, essentially, because you cannot really cast it. You don't have Cinder Barons. That double black is very hard to get to. Cut Ribbon's a bit different. The front side costing 1 in a red means that the primary part is doing the cut. The ribbons is kind of a bonus. So if you don't get to the 2 black mana, well, you might lose a game on it, but it is a nice bonus. You want it for the kind of for them, and wow.
Well, here we see Cut to Ribbons and then Cut to Ribbons on the token. And this is something we've seen a lot from these Black-Red aggro decks where they're 2-for-1ing themselves against opposing Rekindling Phoenixes. They just need to get that card off the board, stop it from coming back. And as long as Seth has some play, he's not going to be too unhappy about that exchange.
No, it's a 2-for-1 and powerful cards.
All right. Seth has only a Scrap Heap Scrounger of his own. He's fallen behind the race here. But he has his own Magma Spray, and his Magma Spray is actually going to deal with a permanent threat in terms of that Scrounger.
Right.
Yidong has another Scrounger, though, ready for this turn.
And Seth is much more set up for Magma Spray because Seth is playing Karn, Sign of Urza, Chandra. There are more Planeswalkers, so you can recoup the card. You're on the draw, so you can recoup that card that's advantage for a variety of ways, which Yidong can't. And that's kind of the difference here between Seth's Magma Sprays and Yidong's. That's it. The problem for Yidong here is even if there was a second black source for that ribbons, there's no way to generate additional energy, so you need to draw another black source on top. And Seth, it's a question. Seth knows that these can come, so Seth has to start putting a clock on being careful about the Scrap Heap Scrounger in front dealing damage. Because even Seth at 8, draw a black source, put Seth down to 4, draw another black source, put Seth down to 0. And Seth, that card in the graveyard, that ribbons, is probably going to be the card that Seth is going to be the most concerned about the way in this match. And is going to develop the entire game plan around the fact that there's 2 ribbons in the graveyard.
All right, well, step 1, attack for 4.
Oh, wow, and Yidong with the Glory Bringer in hand.
Well, here we see Vraska's Contempt.
Cycling the black source here is actually very ambitious.
Wow. Yidong is clearly not on the ribbons plan here at all.
I think once Seth Vraska's contempts the Scrounger, it's a lot harder to deal damage. But I think Yidong had a really nice... We might have missed a really nice interaction, which is that Yidong basically went, I don't want to run my Glorybringer into Vraska's Contempt. Or an Unlicensed Disintegration, one of many cards. But now Seth, capable of attacking for 8, and Yidong goes down to 6. And Seth is presenting lethal.
Wow.
So not giving Yidong the time to get those ribbons. And you can see the power of these red mid-range decks. They compound aggression very quickly. You know, there's one free power in play, then 4, and you kind of have your opponent deal with half of that power. And the second something's not dealt with, it just comes roaring at you. Yidong here forced to attack just to remove a Scrap Heap Scrounger, because otherwise there's no survival, and you have to exert it. You can also stay back and trade for Glorybringer, but that is not a game you're winning. Yeah. Actually, attacking is also probably not a game you're winning, to be honest.
This doesn't sound like a game he's winning, based on your analysis.
Yeah, my analysis is we're cooked. Yeah, the fact that Glorybringer on Seth's side can cook anything apart from the dragon makes this really hard. I guess the best line is indeed to not attack, block Glorybringer, hope to top deck P and Nalar, and then like somehow that would work.
Wow,
but, yeah.
except 2 Abrade. Seth's like, well, I'll 2-for-1 myself also, but it's going to be to kill you.
This is when a 2-for-1 is acceptable, when it destroys your opponent.
Right, absolutely. So 11-2 now for Seth Manfield, still alive, 2 rounds to go. If he can win one more, maybe he can draw himself into the top 8, can maybe improve a little bit on his Player of the Year leading position with, Reed not improving himself and Luis Salvato not having a great tournament. Best he can really do is find one more point this weekend. He's already picked up 3 losses.
I guess +2 is possible since Luis is at 1. But Seth does have to top 8. That's the pressure for Seth. If Seth wants to extend the lead, he does have to make top 8 of the tournament.
All right, well, step 1, win this past round.
Fair
enough. He'll continue on, and we'll continue watching Seth throughout the last couple rounds. But right now, we have some more Time Walk magic for you. Let's take a look at Alex Hahn playing Black-Red Aggro. He's playing against Aiden Simons-Rudolph, also playing Black-Red Aggro. I can tell you, both these players 11-1. Aiden playing in his first Grand Prix.
Wow.
He's a longtime listener of Limited Resources, Marshall Sutcliffe's and Luis Scott Vargas' podcast, and they recently did something talking about going to your first Grand Prix. And Aiden came up to Marshall and was like, yeah, I listened to that. I decided to come here and play my first Grand Prix. And here he is at 11-1 playing a feature match in an excellent position to make the top 8 playing Black-Red Aggro. He's like, all right, I'm going to figure out the best deck. I'm going to learn how to play it, and I am going to go and try to win a Grand Prix.
Do we know if Aiden managed to even have buys?
I don't know that. I don't know.
Because if it's his first Grand Prix, unless he's won one of the trials, he would be... okay, so it's really hard to do well at a Grand Prix to start with 2 buys. If you're a regular coming to Grand Prix, grinding Grand Prix all the time, you can get 2 buys. And it's already hard. I am in awe at people who come with no buys and still manage to be at this level. It's actually astonishing, and I have deep, deep respect for people that slog through those full 8 rounds on day 1, full 7 rounds on day 2, and still have an exceptional result.
All right, cut to ribbons, deals with a Scrap Heap Scrounger. Alex Hahn gets in for 4 with a Bomet Courier that he just played as well.
Yeah, and these games going back and forth. You can see that Aiden has Rekindling Phoenix in hand, along with, I believe, Mountain to play it. But then the question is, what do you do? Do you attack your Whistle Scar Mage or not? Or is the Phoenix enough, assuming that you want to block Bomat? I kind of like here, if you have Phoenix, you're already probably... And there's another Phoenix. I kind of like not attacking here because you're eventually going to take over the board. Phoenix being the best card in these red mirrors.
So Phoenix was the play. And all right, Alex is like, fine, I'll attack with Scrap Heap Scrounger.
Right, and this is just threatening to be able to take care of the Phoenix.
And this looks like it's going to be Pianolar.
While Phoenix is one of the best cards in the matchup, there is... Chain Whirler would be a disaster if you blocked here. But a removal spell would actually have been a positive scenario for Aiden because he has access to another Phoenix, and forcing your opponent on turn 4, which is usually the power turn in these decks, to not make a very powerful play because you had to tap out for the removal spell, and that was your spell for the turn, basically puts the tempo back to you. So sometimes it is strangely worth it potentially to be willing to trade that.
Well, now Aiden has decided that it's time to get in with his Phoenix. Going to probably play the second one right here. He does.
By the way, Pia here is going to do a lot of work. Phoenix is a really potent blocker, but Pia with Scrappy Scrounger, Bomad, and Fopter giving you plenty of options for how to deal damage here.
And Alex is content to just attack with the Scrounger.
While technically Pia could pump the Bomad or the Fopter up to free power, the Phoenix can pretty much block those for free since Alex would have to tap out. And Aiden deciding to just preserve free life.
Absolutely. Just throws the Soulscar Mage in the path. And Alex fortifies his board position with a Kari Zev, Skyship Raider.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see here is Aiden has access to the card Unlicensed Disintegration. And maybe tempted to try a 2-turn race, but that 2-turn race is very vulnerable to quite a few removal spells. So here it will be interesting to see how Aiden decides to approach this situation. Alex here, assuming the Fopter would die, would have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage, which is also a 2-turn clock. And it's with multiple creatures, and with a pump effects galore. So it would be really hard to disrupt.
All right. Aiden decides it's time to start attacking.
Yeah. Aiden does have access to getting back that Scrappy Scrounger, playing Unlicensed Disintegration, and dealing an extra free damage as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Maybe part of the motivation for chump blocking with that Soulscar Mage.
Yes. Actually, really good spot. Need that creature in the graveyard. Pia here, perfect. You only have 1 black mana, so Aiden wanted something else to do this turn, and that's perfect. You get to do Pia, get back the Scrounger next turn on license, and put a ton of pressure. And Alex is in quite a bit of trouble here, with only an Abrade to fight this board.
He's going to start things off by cycling a land.
Yeah, and the second, and you draw a land, it just doesn't cycle, unfortunately. I really am going to miss that cycle, though. The Canyon Slough, Fetid Pool cycle. I think that was one of the best cycle of dual lands we've had in a long time.
We even saw them getting played in Legacy yesterday.
Sheltered Thicket, Legacy All-Star.
Won a Grand Prix. Goes in the Grand Prix Cube.
No, it didn't win a Grand.
Oh, no, it didn't. I'm sorry. You're right. It finished second.
It's okay. It's still good enough. Finishing second is great. The Grand Prix Cube, how big would the cube be? Pro Tour Cube is like 900 cards, technically, so the Grand Prix Cube would be what? 5,000 cards?
Oh, it would be crazy. All right. Alex Hahn is going to attack with everything.
Yeah, realizing that you're not exactly blocking these flyers, so might as well get in there. Only Pia can really, on Aiden's side, can be stopped on an attack. And Alex has access to, I believe, a creature in hand, so you might as well just attack with everything here and try to get value for your cards. There's also a Ribbons in Alex's graveyard, and with access to potentially 6 mana, that could be 4 extra damage. So Aiden is incentivized here to prevent as much damage as possible.
He's going to put Pia in front of the Scrap Heap Scrounger. He's going to put the token in front of Pia.
Going to free. Oh, taking free, rather.
Takes 3.
Going to free would be horrible.
Yeah. And here's a Rekindling Phoenix for Alex. There's the Scrap Heap Scrounger coming back.
That was a really good draw, though, the Phoenix here. Since Aiden is going to be incentivized to Unlicensed Disintegration it in order to try to go for the win with the other 2 Phoenixes. So it's going to be interesting how Aiden decides to navigate this. Just tries to go for lethal and just check Alex.
He says, okay, I think you're dead. Is that last card relevant? Can you deal with one of my Phoenixes? I'm going to drop you to 7 here, and then I'm going to attack in the air for 8.
Alex has access to Abrade. And it's interesting. You could Abrade the Scrounger to prevent the free life loss from Unlicensed Disintegration. That is one option. The other is to kill a Phoenix, but then Aiden knows about this and probably won't attack that turn, except with the Scrounger, at which point Alex would could choose to chump block. Oh, wow. Alex is going for the surprise play. He decided to take the damage and make Aiden commit to an attack that would give Alex a chance to win the game. Abrade the Phoenix to survive by blocking the Scrounger.
Oh, you still got the Bomac Courier there.
Yeah. So you abrade the Phoenix. That gives you a 0-1. Alex will go down to free. There's a 0-1 to block with Aiden at 10. There's a Ribbons. Phoenix comes back. That puts Aiden down to 6. Then there's the Monkey, the Pia. I think Alex got this with the Ribbons.
Wow. Cut to Ribbons.
Absolute. Alex took a risk by not playing Abrade right away, and it pays off handsomely here. The Phoenix, 4 damage in the air. Aiden down to 6. Pia Nalar or the Ragavan blocked by the 0-1. That leaves 3 more damage, and then you Ribbons for lethal.
And he drew the land.
So very well played by Alex here. Wow, that was an exciting mirror. That was one of the best black-red mirrors I've seen in a while. That's great.
Yeah, shows him the Ribbons. And we're on to game 2 here. Aiden opens things up with a Bomac Courier. Tucks a card away for later.
That is an interesting card to keep in a mirror match that involves the card Goblin Chain Whirler. On the play, it is a lot more powerful. You're down on cards. It puts pressure, and even like attacking drawing a card can be pretty good in these mid-range mirrors. But I'm not sure. On the draw, for sure, you kind of have to get rid of Bomac Courier.
All right, turn 2, Heart of Kirin for Aiden.
And here, that Heart of Kirin, if Aiden has something to crew it, Alex really needs an answer.
Looks like he might have an Abrade in hand. All right, so passes the turn back to Aiden, plays his 3rd land for the turn. And just attacks with the Bomac Courier, tucks a 3rd card away, says, is that okay? And Alex says, no, I think I'll use Magma Spray here. And Aiden puts those 3 cards away, never to be seen again.
Yeah, and interestingly here, for Alex, Aiden did not have a free drop since it would have easily wanted to crew the Heart of Kirin.
Well, it looked like he did have a Chain Whirler in hand, but was maybe looking to get some...
it was a Hazard, the Fervent.
Oh, it was a Hazard, okay.
But that's also an excellent card in these red mirrors. Only Soulscar Mage can really deal with Hazard efficiently. I guess people have been playing as well Doomfall, Hour of Glory, so there are answers in the format to Hazard. But Phoenix is the best card. Hazard is easily the second best one.
Well, there's Hazard. It's going to crew up the Heart and get in for 4. Drops Alex to 15 here.
Yeah, with 2 cards in hand, Hazard still has the desire to get into the red zone. Just does it by going into a little vehicle.
See, Unlicensed Disintegration, a couple of lands, a Goblin Chain Whirler in hand for Alex Hahn.
Yeah. Alex's hand is pretty well set up for fighting these kind of mirrors, except for Hazard the Fervent. Actually, Alex had quite a few answers to a potential Phoenix. You could combine a removal spell with the Goblin Chain Whirler, and has a lot of cards. But Alex is just not well set up to deal with this Hazard the Fervent.
Looks like he's thinking about his own Chain Whirler here.
I think the card that we can't quite make out, I believe, is a Glorybringer, Game Day.
Oh, okay. I thought that might have been an Abrade.
Yeah, that was also a Game Day promo.
Yes, yeah. All right, well, there's a Goblin Chain Whirler. It's going to drop Aiden to 19. And
yeah, if Aiden here can draw a creature to crew the Heart, this is going to be a world of hurt. Oh, and that's a Pia. That's the damage that Aiden was looking for. Play the land. I guess... Oh, yeah. I would rather pump damage here rather than cycle the Kenyan Slough on the Heart of Kirin, dealing as much damage as possible here. You could cycle it. I guess having the options are also important.
All right. Cruise up the Heart. In comes Hazard. In comes the Heart. And, yeah, Kari Zev is in the unenviable position of jumping in the path of a Hazard the Fervent.
Yeah, I did say earlier to pump it, but actually it is better to just cycle the land and have more options. You're already ahead on board, so you want to make sure you can continue the pressure. And yeah, Alex is having a lot of trouble here. The Heart without a Braid is actually a difficult card to deal with in a matchup like this. Plus the Hazard, tons of pressure, really hard for Alex to get a foot in this game. And I think Aiden's going to take game 2.
See an unlicensed disintegration in hand for Alex Hahn.
Yeah, destroy target creature, not exactly what he needed against something that says I can't be destroyed.
Yeah. Well, he's going to go with cut here. He's going to take down Pia.
Yeah. I do wonder how Hazoret's text would look if it had alpha templating.
I feel like there's probably some place you could find, some corner of the internet, you could probably find that if you were looking for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw Legacy yesterday in the history of Magic, you know?
All right, so second card in hand for Aiden. I think every Magic player who watches the Pro Tour knows to be very careful here with your first main phase.
Yeah, I think that moment is... man, I was in a shopping mall in Japan. I couldn't watch it live, and I happened to tune into that exact moment.
Oh.
It was very painful.
Well, there's that game day of Braid we were talking about.
Right.
An unlicensed disintegration is going to take down the Heart of Kieran, but that still does not deal with Hazoret the Fervent here, and Alex is at 5.
Yeah, but with Alex having no creatures, it might have been better not to crew the heart and just attack him. Since you attack with 2 creatures, you're losing 1 point of damage. But if Alex is at 2, Alex is not coming back, so it's totally fine to just attack with the creatures here.
Glorybringer go, but here you see Aiden discards a land to Hazoret's ability. That's going to drop Alex to 3.
Yeah. But while Aiden is taking down this game in pretty convincing fashion, I think there was an important moment there, not for this game, but in general if you're playing. With vehicles, right, you're committing 2 creatures into 1 vehicle. That's usually correct because you're trying to, push damage as much as possible. But in a situation like this, you're so far ahead, you might as well diversify your damage to make sure your opponent can get there. If the game was closer, that would have been really important.
All right. Game 3, Bomat Courier gets into the red zone.
And I think Aiden is keeping these Bomat Couriers in because of free copies of Unlicensed Disintegration more than the average number.
Here's a Braid on Kari Zev. Gets in for a second card under the Bomat. Second point of damage.
And this is why you take out Bomat Couriers usually in this matchup.
There's the Chain Whirler.
These mid-range mirrors are often about 2-for-1s, and giving your opponent a free one is ill-advised.
Chain Whirler takes down the Courier, does a point of damage to Aiden. Here's Soul Scar Mage. Yeah, you see that unlicensed disintegration. You talked about that. It looks like maybe also an Hour of Glory in hand.
Yeah, that was a good spot. Hour of Glory became popular because it's one of the few exile effects that can be cast for a single color of mana. I mean, there's cast out as well, but we're not in those colors. Hour of Glory, while, semi-inefficient at what it does, is unique in what it does. 1 black exile, not a very common effect in cards.
And Aiden's going to pump the brakes a little bit here, says go.
Yeah, missing the 4 for 5th land drop in these mid-range mirrors can be a problem. That's why you see a lot of lists actually go as far as playing 26 lands, is because you need these 4 drops to hit. You need to make all those land drops.
Right,
but yeah.
So here we see a play. He's going to block the Soul Scar Mage on the Scrounger. He's going to unlicense disintegrate the Goblin Chain Whirler. The Prowess Trigger will grow his Soul Scar Mage.
Yeah, I think you're okay here with trading the Scrounger for Soul Scar since you have plenty of food for it, and that leaves you with Chandra's defeat up into Glorybringer. So if Aiden gets a land, plays Phoenix, you can end of turn get the Scrounger and decide to take the risk and decide to Chandra's defeat. If you draw a land, Glorybringer. If you do not, then, just play the defeat.
Yeah, passes the turn. Alex regrows the Scrounger. I always want to call it Scavenger. But I guess it does scavenge.
I mean, it's a metallic scavenger, right?
Yeah.
So it's scrounging around, trying to scrap itself together.
Yeah. So another Goblin Chain Whirler from Alex Hahn. We also see Cut to Ribbons, a card that helped him close out Game 1 in hand.
Yeah, and Alex is pretty far ahead here. Removal spells are good at pushing and keeping on pressure, but they're not very good when you're answering problems when they're expensive.
Yeah, you can really see that in play here. Aiden has to use Hour of Glory.
And I mean, that card, that's the problem. You're paying 4 mana for a card that's already generated card advantage and costs 2. It's not a positive exchange. But here we see Glorybringer, Chandra's defeat. That's some tempo push.
Yeah. And now the Chain Whirler gets to start cracking in here.
Oh, Canyon Slough.
Canyon Slough. It looks like there's a Glorybringer in hand as well.
The soul-crushing part when your opponent plays Canyon Slough as their 5th land, because you know what's coming. That said, Aiden's probably happy about it because the only card in Aiden's hand that's active is that Unlicensed Disintegration, and Aiden was tapped out. So Aiden will be pretty happy to see Alex tap out for Glorybringer. Interestingly, I think Alex should just attack
Alex had Doomfall, it looked like, in hand.
Okay, right. Actually, re-looking at this situation, I think keeping the Doomfall to remove a potential Phoenix is much better than looking at the hand.
Okay.
Oh, and wow, Glorybringer.
Wow, look at this. And suddenly, Aiden swings his way back into the game. He exerts his Glorybringer. He kills the Chain Whirler.
Is that Hazard the Fervent?
Gosh.
Wow, Haymaker after Haymaker.
So here's Hazard the Fervent, that Hour of Glory. Aiden, that's one of the reasons he brought it in, is to deal with these
indestructible
gods,
haste god creatures. Yeah. Now the thing is, you see Alex going for Hazard, even though it has haste, because the Glorybringer is deserted. There's no rush to kill it. You can just kill it easily next turn.
Yep. So here is Bomat Courier, empty-handed, and we may see it just get cycled here.
It's quite possible also Aiden is forced to use it as a blocker on this Hazard.
Oh, fair.
Probably the more likely scenario, I guess, just because you don't have a choice in the matter. And yeah,
look at this. Alex just shows him, look, I've got Doomfall, I've got Cut to Ribbons.
Let me know how these would work. How?
Yeah.
Right.
What would you do? You make the play.
Right. I mean, you just cut the Bomat here, attack Aiden down to 1, and then Ribbons for 1. As an example. And if somehow this doesn't work, yeah, Aiden saying, well, we're still in my first main phase. Thanks for the info.
Right.
And this is why you should only show your hand this way if you are 100%, not 99, but 100% that you're winning as a result. If you're uncertain in any single way, you should not do this.
So he says Doomfall, show you the land. That's the last card.
Go to 1. I have Hazard, I have Ribbons, and we should be done here. Untap, upkeep, discard, main phase. Whenever you feel like it.
Hey, Aiden listens to Marshall's podcast. He does not concede.
Okay.
And there's the hand. All right. Alex Hahn goes to 12-1 after round 13. Expect to see him in the top 8.
Yeah. I really liked Alex's play, by the way. That game 1, I think, was a really good example of how you can outmaneuver your opponent in these mid-range mirrors. Alex facing 2 Rekindling Phoenixes in a really close spot, and identifies exactly what Aiden's mindset is, takes advantage of it, and wins the game as a result. I thought that game 1 was great.
Yeah, it was great. And again, we'll probably get to see more of Alex in the top 8. Aiden still alive to play for top 8, but we've got a couple of quick commercials here, and then we'll be back with more Magic at Grand Prix Richmond.